Life Management Science Labs would like to acknowledge that we live and produce this podcast on the traditional lands of the Wurundjeri people. We'd also like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the lands of our listeners and our international colleagues. We'd like to pay our respects to their elders, past, present, and emerging. Hi, and welcome to Self-Improvement Atlas, the Personal Science Insights podcast produced by LMSL, the Life Management Science Labs. We are champions of life management science, providing structured insights informed by science and inspired by practice on key aspects of conscious living. Each week, we bring you scientific and practical insights on each element with the expert knowledge of professionals in the field. I'm Marie Stella, your host from Melbourne, Australia. Let's start the show. Welcome back to Self-Improvement Atlas, the Personal Science Insights podcast. For many of us, the modern world spins at such a relentless pace, often leaving us feeling overwhelmed, stressed, or disconnected from ourselves. And the saddest part is that we've grown so accustomed to it. So if you've ever felt the slightest tug of curiosity towards meditation, but found yourself stumped as to where to begin, you're not alone. Today, we extend a guiding hand to beginners with the expertise of meditation teacher Giovanni Dienstmann. Outside of the meditation classroom, he is the author of Amazon bestseller, Practical Meditation, affectionately dubbed by followers as the Meditation Bible, and runs the fifth most popular meditation blog on the planet. Now, if that isn't an incredible feat, I don't know what is. Hi, Giovanni. We are so stoked to have you on the show today.
Hi, Marie. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you for coming on. So I'm really curious to know, as the author of the Meditation Bible, what is your philosophy or ethos when it comes to trying out meditation for the first time?
There are many different styles of meditation, and they all have different effects. And that's something that is not so clear for most people. Most of the research on meditation, it's always about, either TM or mindfulness. But there are as many styles of meditation as there are different styles of physical exercise. And, if you want to keep yourself healthy, maybe basketball is not the right thing for you. Maybe running or the gym is not the right thing for you. Maybe you like swimming. And if you don't know that exists, if you don't know that they're all physical exercise, but they're all affecting your body differently. It's the same thing with meditation. There are many different styles of meditation. They all affect our mind differently. They are all different exercises. And yes, there are some common benefits to all of them. Like all of them will help you relax and deal with stress, etc. But they are essentially different ways of exercising the mind. So it's very important for anyone who doesn't have yet an established meditation practice, who knows, that this is my style, this is the way I like to do meditation, that you spend a period of time experimenting with different techniques and you have clarity about what do you want from meditation practice, like what are the key benefits or transformation that you want from the practice. And then you go through different techniques with that in mind until you find the one that works for you.
That's really interesting. That's actually something that I've always wondered myself about meditation. And so I'm really keen to hear more about this. But before we get further into detail, I'd love to get to know you better. This is, have you met Giovanni? And the first question I want to ask you is, what inspired you to become a meditation teacher?
I've been meditating since I was 14 years old. And for me, it was always part of my life, and it was a personal aspect of my life. It was never my work. For a very long time, it wasn't my work. And I realized that many people, it was actually about 10 years ago, I realized that, wow, meditation has become really popular, and there are people out there who are running meditation blogs and courses and apps, and they're teaching other people to meditate. And I felt like maybe I should also teach, because this is something I've been doing at that time for over 15 years. So that's how I found myself wanting to share my experience, wanting to share the different techniques that I have tried. And that's when I started my first blog. And then I wrote the book, I created some courses, and it all went from there.
Yeah, that's such an incredible story. So how would you say meditation has changed your life?
It's always an interesting question because, as someone who has been meditating since I was 14, my personality got formed together with the meditation practice. It's very hard for me to separate one thing from the other. But I like to say that meditation gave me some superpowers. One of them being the superpower to pause. That whatever emotion or impulse arises in the moment, I always have the ability to pause, to take a step back, to disengage, and then to see, like, do I want to flow with this thing? Is this aligned with my values, or do I want to do something else? So that inner space, that inner freedom, is one of the several things that meditation practice has given me.
Yeah, that's an incredible skill, and it's definitely something that most of us could benefit from. But aside from meditation, what do you like to do in your spare time?
What spare time?
Fair enough.
uh, what I really like to do when I'm not working and nothing is required from me in family life, etc. I like to spend time in nature, and I like to read. So these would be probably my two favorite activities other than meditation.
And do you have any go-to nature spots?
Not necessarily one particular spot. I like to walk through different places. It might be having walked, beaches, nature parks, etc. No one particular spot.
Yeah, and is there something that you enjoy, like something specifically about nature that you enjoy so much about, like viewing all the animals that you might see in one park but not the other?
I think it's just being in a mode of in my brain that is not focused on anything in particular, that is not dealing with stimuli, that is kind of very open. There's nothing for me to decide. There's nothing for me to process. It's just kind of walking, and it really allows me to decompress.
Yeah, for sure. It really sets the tone for your brain space. Like just how if you visit a big city, you'd be really stimulated by all the bright lights. Being in nature probably does a lot for calming your brain down and clearing up your space. So, you're in good company there with enjoying the nature. It's always good to get out there and be in the greenery. But the next thing I wanted to ask you was, is there anyone that you look up to in life, either your personal life or your professional life?
Well, as an author, I look up to other authors that are doing really good work in a similar space. I started mostly writing about meditation, and then I moved more to the space of self-discipline, productivity, purpose, and focus. It's still very much meditation-based. That's my secret weapon. That's what makes me different in a way from other authors. But one author that I really like in this space, for example, is Cole Newport. I really resonate with his work, and I love how he built his readership without using social media, just off writing really amazing books and having a blog and a newsletter.
Yeah, that's an incredible accomplishment, especially in the digital age where a lot of us are using digital media to promote our products, which isn't a bad thing, but the ability to do without the digital media promotion just makes it more impressive, especially when everyone's doing it. But what would you say are like the top traits that you find admirable about this author?
Well, that he just focuses on quality and he doesn't care about anything else. He just focuses on putting his best work out there. He doesn't look at the trends, and he doesn't get distracted by what's going on in the world of platforms and social media and ads and all of that. And he's just focused on really being working the way that he likes to work and trusting that the results will come. Like he doesn't need to, go after the next big thing.
He sounds like such an inspiring figure. I haven't read any of his books, and I don't know much about him, to be frank, but he does sound really, really inspiring. And so that's really great to hear. Thank you so much for sharing a bit about yourself. I really enjoyed that. I feel like we got to know you a bit better. Now we move on to the interview section. And the first question I wanted to ask you was, how would you define personal development?
Well, personal development is working on yourself, working to develop certain qualities, certain virtues, certain skills. And also, I would probably put inside the world of personal development healing. If there are some traumas that you want to heal, if there are some aspects of your past that you want to revisit or reframe, I would put that into personal development. It's about becoming the person that you can be. We were all conditioned to be in a certain way by our past, by our upbringing, by things that happened in our life. And that's our box, that's our conditioning. Now, wanting to expand beyond our conditioning, wanting to grow. And there are thousands of different threads or directions we can grow in personal development. But that movement of growing beyond your current limitations.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely an internal journey that you have to go through. But in your opinion, how does the practice of meditation contribute to our personal growth?
Whatever change you want to make in yourself, and that's what personal development is. You want to change something, you want to become more patient or more compassionate or be able to focus better or have better time management, whatever that is. All of these are changes that you want to make in yourself. And any change that you want to make in yourself or in your life happens through your mind. Your mind is the main instrument for making change on oneself or for achieving your goals. So meditation helps you to sharpen that instrument of the mind to be a little bit more intentional, more focused, more in control of that powerful instrument.
Mm-hmm. Now, from what you told me, meditation sounds like an incredibly powerful tool to harness and kind of get better control of our emotions and our impulses. So I'd like to start with the basics of meditation. First and foremost, what is the general purpose of meditation?
Meditation is a training for the mind. Just like there are all different forms of training your body or working on your body, and they usually involve, resistance training, cardio, and flexibility. These being kind of the three core skills or aspects of training your body. So whatever sport you're doing, whatever physical activity you're doing, you are working on one or more of these three things. Similarly with meditation, there is concentration, there is observation, and then there is relaxation. So these are like the three different elements. Now, meditation is typically a practice that you do seated down with your eyes closed. There are some styles of meditation that you do with eyes open. There are styles of walking meditation as well, but typically the archetype of meditation practice is sitting down with the spine erect, closing your eyes, and going through a sort of inner process, a mental exercise or training. And depending on the technique, that will take different shapes. The most common types of meditation, those that are focused on concentration, you select one object of focus, and that object could be your breath, it could be a mantra, it could be a visualization, it could be anything that you like. And you attempt to keep your awareness on that object moment after moment, unwaveringly. And if you notice your awareness going away from that object, you bring it back, and with strong intention, you place it there and keep it there. So that is concentration styles of meditation. There are many. What changes mostly is the object. The inner process is the same. And then we have the more observation styles of meditation, like mindfulness or vipassana, the inner silence meditation from yoga, in which you are not focusing on a single object. Rather, you are having that panoramic view and being aware of whatever happens in your awareness in the present moment. It could be a sensation, it could be a thought that is shooting through your mind, a memory, an image. You just become aware of everything without focusing and without pushing anything away. That would be more the observation style of meditation, and it feels very different. It's a different skill. Then relaxation, meditation styles such as yoga nidra and body scan the focus of those practices is to release all tension in your body. And as you release the tensions in your body, you're also releasing many of your mental and emotional tensions because it's all connected. So that's a quick overview of the different ways or different styles of meditation, the big buckets.
Yeah, thank you for that. That was so incredibly well described. But my next question is, what are the basic principles of meditation for someone who is completely new to the practice? What are some things that you need to kind of take off for it to be meditation?
And again, that would depend on the style. But typically, there is body stillness. You would be sitting with your spine straight. Ideally unsupported means that you're not leaning on a chair or anything. And you have physical stillness because when your body is still, your mind tends to also become still. If you start fidgeting, moving your body, then the mind gets agitated as well. So that's a common element. Then you have a very clear intention of what you're doing in that exercise. Maybe it is, I'm going to be counting my breaths from 1 to 100, and I'm going to try not to forget to count my breaths. Maybe it is, I'm doing this particular visualization, or I'm focusing on the so-called third eye, or I'm repeating this mantra. And you let go of everything else, all the other concerns, all the other thoughts and worries for that time being, and you're just focused on that one thing, on that process. And obviously, in the beginning, this is impossible for almost everybody, but it's a skill that you practice, and over time, you get better at it.
Yeah, that's really interesting. That sounds like meditation essentially at any point in time, depending on where in your journey you are, your goal with a meditation practice might be different.
Yes, you can say that. There are many different styles of meditation, and they are good for different things. Like if someone wants to gain more mobility, they probably yoga or Tai Chi or Pilates would be better for them than pushing weights at the gym. So likewise in meditation, if someone wants meditation simply as the quickest way to relax, that's one type of practice. If you want to really get to know your mind, your patterns, and go deeper within yourself, a different practice. If you want to become super focused, have that ability to laser focus, different type of practice. If you want to achieve altered states of consciousness and kind of more the spiritual, the transcendental approach, a different type of practice. So depending on the goal of the practitioner, I as a teacher would recommend a different practice.
And what type of meditation practice would help in achieving inner peace?
Many will be helpful for this. That's one of those common benefits that overlap across different elements. But I would say that in general, if the person's purpose is just to feel more calm, I would say that observation meditation, like mindfulness or vipassana, where you are, or even the Zen meditation, Zazen, they will be better entry points than trying to focus the mind. Because trying to focus the mind is as effort, like it's the muscle of focus in the brain. And sure, when you get to that point where the mind is so focused that it's like, to use the metaphor in the meditation books, like the flame of a candle in a windless room, that kind of like unwavering, it's beautifully peaceful. But it takes a lot of effort to get there. So if you just want to feel a little bit more calm, I would say try these styles of meditation that are more about observation, or even simply just counting your breaths, observing your breaths and counting them, so that you have an anchor to come back to the present moment in a way that is more light.
Yeah, and like what you've said before, many beginners struggle with maintaining focus during meditation, which is why we have some practices that are better entry points. So what tips or techniques do you recommend for staying in the present and avoiding those distractions during meditation?
One thing that most meditation practitioners overlook is the importance of what I call a meditation warmup. Right? If you want to do exercise, if you want to play in the field or whatever, you will spend several minutes warming up. And that not only prevents you from injury, it's not the case in meditation, but that makes the time that you spend actually performing that sport be much more effective. Now, when we think about meditation, most people are just like, okay, I'm going to sit and I'm going to do my meditation. And just a minute ago, I was thinking about 15 different problems that I have to solve today and a huge to-do list. And I expect that I'm just going to sit, close my eyes, and I'm going to be able to focus. And I'm going to have a calm time. No, you need a bit of a transition. You need what I call a meditation warm-up. And this is taking 2 or 3 minutes to allow your body, your nervous system, your breath to calm down and to center. It could be following one of the yoga breathing exercises or any deep breathing exercises that allows you to calm down, to center yourself. And then to go with meditation with a clear intention. You can even talk to yourself like, okay, mind, we're going to, for the next 10 minutes now, we're going to stay focused on the breath. There's nothing that you need to think about now. There's nothing that you need to solve. Everything is good. We're just going to focus on our breath the best we can, moment after moment. You know, having a self-talk like this, having it really clear for yourself, what is the intention of this practice? What am I doing here? What am I trying to achieve? So calming the body, mind, nervous system, and then having a little bit of a self-talk where you're talking to your mind, asking your mind to concentrate and to let go of everything else. This will allow you to make better use of that meditation time.
Yeah, that actually reminds me a lot of this mindful eating practice that I learned about in another episode a while back. That this transition period, is extremely important, especially for people who are just starting out. To sit down with yourself and talk to yourself, set the intention, set the goals for about 2 minutes in order to kind of remove yourself from the distractions of your life that might interfere with the mindfulness practice. So it's really interesting how this transition period is so important in across many different mindfulness practices. But for beginners who feel overwhelmed or frustrated with being unable to perfect their meditation practice, what advice do you have for cultivating a bit more patience and perseverance?
Maybe look at meditation as taking a shower. You know, it's just something that you need to do every day. You don't need to be perfect at taking a shower, but you need to take a shower every day to keep yourself clean. So the same thing with meditation. I mean, we need to do it every day if you want to keep your focus, with being, taken apart by so many things these days. If you want to keep your sanity and you want to be well, meditation is just a non-negotiable part of our days.
That's a really great way of putting it. I love that you are using so many analogies in this. It really helps to kind of take it out of the like, oh my God, this is a meditation practice that I have to be perfect at and flawless at, and I am messing up all the time. And it really helps make it more approachable. But are there specific types of meditation, apart from the ones that you've mentioned previously as entry points, that you would recommend to beginners in particular?
There are, again, it depends on their goal, but sometimes the meditation practice that would be most needed or most effective is not the one that the person is going to enjoy the most from the beginning. Just like the right medicine sometimes tastes bitter, and sometimes we need to give them a candy and then we can give them the right medicine. It's the same thing with meditation practice. For example, the practice of Trataka, which is the candle gazing practice from the yoga tradition, it's the most powerful way to train concentration, right? And I tried the meditation for the first time back in 2004, probably, and I hated it. Like I didn't like it at all. I didn't want to do it again, and I didn't touch it again for years. Then 10 years later, I tried it again, and I was, oh wow, I see why this is so powerful. I see why this can be also so frustrating, but it's like super powerful exercise for focus. So not sure if that answers your question, but you tell me.
Yeah, for sure. It certainly does. I feel like this also extends to a lot of other skill sets or hobbies or anything like that. For example, like I know this is a bit of a stretch, but in crocheting, in order to make this beautiful pattern, there are so many things that you have to do that you just can't quite nail in the beginning. Um, and you need this in order to achieve this certain product that you want. You have to do this technique that might be really difficult, you know, and you just have to get there. But you might not be able, it's not the most fun thing to do. It's just something that you have to do in order to achieve that effect, which yeah, like I said, it's a bit of a stretch with the analogy, but I feel like this very much applies to a lot of other areas in life.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So, on a broader scale, what advice do you have for picking a meditation practice that is suitable for you, your needs, your goals, and your lifestyle? What are some important factors to consider?
Traditionally, you would always learn meditation from a meditation teacher, um, someone that you can talk to, that can see you, that gets a sense for what you need. Nowadays, most people are learning meditation directly from meditation apps or from YouTube, and it's the nature of things. If you can find a good program that you can follow step by step, especially one that introduces you to the different aspects of meditation, the different meditation techniques, then that will be helpful.
Yeah, that's really, really great advice. So, apart from all of this, on to kind of take things out of the more detailed, finer parts of meditation, how important is self-compassion when it comes to practicing meditation, especially for those who have a tendency to be overly critical of themselves?
But being overly critical of yourself is a thought, and that thought is spinning the mind. So it's going in the opposite direction of what we're trying to achieve with meditation. It's about having the right mindset, the right attitude about it, that this is a skill, that, if you're trying to focus on your breath and 20 thoughts down the line, you realize like, oh, I was supposed to be focusing on my breath. I completely forgot. I am in the middle of planning my day or whatever it is. Then you bring your attention back and you do that with a strong intention. Like, okay, now I'm just going to stay with my breath. And so in the beginning, maybe it takes you 20 thoughts to realize that you have strayed. If after a couple of months you can do that in 18 thoughts, that's progress. Now that's the way to think about it. Not that you should be able to get it immediately and stay with that unbroken focus. That's not going to happen. It's a training, and little by little we get better. But what we know from the scientific studies around the process of meditation is that going through this exercise itself is really good for your brain. It's thickening the prefrontal cortex. It's helping you calm down. It's reducing cortisol, stress hormone in the body. And even if you're not perfect at meditation, all of these studies are done with people who, many of these studies are done with people who are learning the practice, not people who are masters at the practice.
Yeah, that's really good advice. Thank you for sharing that. My last question for you is, what tools or resources would you recommend for beginners?
Well, I wrote the book that I think was missing, and there are other books. Probably there are other books like that, but if you can work with a teacher, a local teacher, that would be better. If not, if you're going to learn online, then finding a good online course rather than just trying random meditations in an app is probably going to be a more satisfactory experience for you and results. And every meditation is different. Every teacher is different. You may feel like, okay, I tried Buddhist meditation that didn't work for me. Let me try some different type of meditation. But no, like there are thousands of Buddhist meditation teachers out there. If you try another Buddhist meditation from another teacher, maybe that one will work for you. So it's a big world out there to explore. And if you believe in the practice, if you want the benefits that the practice can bring in your life, then now stay with it for some time until you find something that works for you.
Thank you so much for sharing that with us, Giovanni. I really appreciate your time. It has been such a pleasure getting to know a bit more about meditation. And I simply loved your analogies. They were such a delight, and they really helped with approaching meditation a bit more easily. Now we're moving on to the questions from the audience. And the first question we have is, what are some essential things a beginner needs to know before starting a meditation practice?
Well, know that in the beginning, the main purpose is for you to build the habit. So just focus on showing up for your practice, building the habit, and see if you can get to a point where you actually enjoy the practice, that you're not just going through the motions. And if that doesn't happen immediately, it doesn't mean that meditation is not for you. It doesn't mean that you're doing it wrong. Maybe you just need to connect with the practice better, or finding a different practice that you can connect with. So in the beginning, it's all about building the habit. And if you can get to that point where you enjoy the practice for its own sake, then that's something that you will continue in your life. And you can ask yourself, like, how do I feel now after my meditation practice, as opposed to 15 minutes ago before I did my meditation? And begin noticing what the practice does for you, for your body, for your mind. And that can also help build a positive feedback loop where you want to come back again to the practice.
Yeah, that's pretty similar to hobby searching as well. Like, not every hobby is going to be the one for you, but there is going to be a hobby out there for you somewhere. You just have to continue searching. So our second question is, what are some tips for choosing a comfortable posture for meditation? Are there any common mistakes that beginners usually make?
Well, one mistake is trying to sit with your legs folded in a way that, it takes some practice for you to be able to sit like that, and then hurting yourself or feeling like, I can't sit like this, therefore I can't meditate. The most important element of the meditation posture is that your spine is straight and unsupported, right? So if you're sitting with the spine straight and unsupported, you can have your legs in different positions. Especially for beginners, it doesn't matter that much. You can sit on a meditation bench, on a meditation cushion. You can sit on, the tip of a chair or even of your bed, but always keeping the spine straight. And for people who are really going deep into the practice, then there are meaning around certain, what they call mudras, the hand gestures, and the folding of the feet. All of this can help subtler aspects of meditation. But for the beginner who just wants to improve their mind a little bit, improve their well-being, experience some peace of mind, just keeping your spine straight is enough.
Yeah. And are there any common physical discomforts that beginners might experience? Like, I just personally imagine, this is not part of the questions from the audience, but I'm just imagining the audience is thinking of probably like pins and needles from sitting in one position for too long of time. Is it all right to shift positions?
Yeah, the average beginner is not going to be meditating for a very long time for that to happen. But if they want to and it's happening, then the first thing to look at is the cushion. Maybe you're sitting very close to the floor, and so you are tense. Your lower back is tense, or your knees, there's not enough space for blood flow. So you can try having a higher cushion, or changing the angle of your pelvis on the cushion, and that will you can find a spot then that you can sit comfortably for long.
That's a great suggestion. Thank you so much for answering our audience questions. That's all for this section. And for listeners, if you'd like to submit your questions to our guests, please check our Instagram stories early in the week, Monday or Tuesday, AEST. You'll see who we're talking to and what we're talking about, and you might just hear your question on the air. Now we're moving on to the open mic section. And Giovanni, this is your chance to talk about anything that you're passionate about. And it doesn't have to be related to the topic at all. So the floor is yours. Take it away.
My approach as a meditation teacher is different from most people think of a meditation teacher. Most meditation teachers, their emphasis is on living in the moment, learning to accept things, being at peace and being more compassionate. And all of these things are great. They are virtues, and the world needs more of it. And some people need more of it. But my approach as a meditation teacher is more to teach you that meditation is a key tool for you to learn how to master your mind. Meditation will help you be more empowered. It will help you feel more in control of your life. That, you don't need to just go with your impulses, that you don't need to believe your negative self-talk, that you don't need to be lost in an emotion that is not helping you be the person you want to be and show up as you want to show up. You can learn how to exercise some level of self-mastery. And in the many traditions of meditation, that is perhaps the key goal of the practice. Peace of mind was almost like a byproduct of this, but really what they were wanting was to change their inner self, right? So one topic that I'm really passionate about, that I've been focusing more on in the past several years, is what I call mindful self-discipline. Now, when most people think about self-discipline, many of them will cringe. It sounds painful. It sounds like something that is desirable, but it's painful at the same time. And actually, that was always strange for me, because self-discipline is not supposed to be painful. Self-discipline is essential for you to achieve any goal in your life, be it in finances, in your career, in your health, in your spirituality, even in your relationships. Any goal, any area of your life that you want to improve will require that you take action towards those goals consistently, even when you don't feel like it, even when there is a pull for you to get distracted, to procrastinate, to tell yourself an excuse, or when there is fear of failure, self-doubt, all of these things. Self-discipline is that you keep moving forward in the direction of your goals, of your values and aspirations. So what I call mindful self-discipline is an awareness-based approach towards self-discipline. It's using the skills that you train in meditation practice to become more disciplined. And then you realize that self-discipline is not self-punishment, it's self-respect. That you keep your promises to yourself. When you say you're going to do something, you do it. When you say you're going to stop doing something, you stop doing something. And when you have that level of self-respect, then you naturally trust yourself more. You like yourself more. You experience more confidence that if you hold on to a goal, if there's something you want to achieve, that you will do it, that you will stay consistent, that you will persevere, because it's important for you and because you know how to work within your mind. So that is one topic that I have been focusing a lot in my work, the idea of mindful self-discipline. It's awareness first. You will also need willpower. But if you start with awareness, then self-discipline can be less about the militaristic, drill sergeant inside of you saying you should do this, and that mental toughness approach, and more about, okay, now I have clarity over what are my values, what are my lifelong aspirations, what are the goals I want to achieve, and I will make an effort day in and day out to live in harmony with those values, to live in integrity. So that is the end of my TED Talk for now.
Well, thank you for that. And I completely agree. And one thing that struck me while you were talking about that self-awareness and the self-respect and self-discipline is that from someone who has been on both sides of the spectrum and still working very much towards self-discipline and trying to hone self-discipline, self-respect definitely helps so much in honing self-discipline, because it all starts from like how much you respect yourself as a person who deserves to achieve all these goals. And once you have that self-respect, it is a lot easier to have willpower and to respect yourself enough, essentially, to stick to your goals and to work towards them. So that's definitely something that struck with me as well. And I'm sure all of us have been through that path at some point. So thank you very much for sharing that with us and for joining us today and sharing all your expertise on meditation. I feel like I learned so much about it. If our listeners want to find out more about you and what you do, where can they go?
So you can visit my latest website, mindfulselfdiscipline.com. That's where you will learn about my 3 books. There's a blog. Every week I publish a new blog post. You can join the newsletter to be notified. And there's an app that I've created with some custom guided meditations around these topics of more meditation and empowerment, self-discipline, self-confidence, etc.
Excellent. We will link those in the show notes. Thank you everyone for tuning in. Thank you once again, Giovanni, for joining us today. We'll catch you in the next episode.
You've been listening to the Self-Improvement Atlas, the Personal Science Insights podcast produced by LMSL, the Life Management Science Labs. For more episodes like this from 10 different life management perspectives, search LMSL on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts so you can get updated on everything we have to offer. We have a wide range of topics readily available for you to check out. If you enjoyed this episode, please consider rating our show, sharing it, and subscribing to our channel as it helps us grow and bring you more quality resources. More of our work can be found on our website at pe.lmsl.net, where you can join our movement. I'm Marie Stella. Thanks for tuning in.